This is it. Championship will be determined tonight.
This ain't the amateurs no more. You got a chance to do something great, to be someone great. This is a big step up, kid. Use your feet. Keep your hands up. It's all about heart.
I'm not gonna cry every time some clown gets hurt.
This guy's a friggin' animal. You gotta put this guy on the canvas. Understand? The only way to the title is through me. That's what champions do. They get back up.
Back in 2022, I made a video on the rise and fall of EA's Fight Night series, a rare franchise from EA that never fell off. Every game in that series was awesome, and they only seemed to get better with each iteration until EA just quit making them. It's a shame we no longer get new Fight Night games, as the developers behind them clearly had a lot of passion for boxing. You could argue that Fight Night was the best sports franchise EA ever made. At the time of that previous Fight Night video, I considered Fight Night Round 4 to be the best game in the series, due to its realistic and challenging gameplay. But after playing more of the last Fight Night title, Fight Night Champion, my opinion has changed. Round 4 is still an incredible boxing game, don't get me wrong, and if you believe it's the best in the series, that's a valid opinion. But Fight Night Champion's darker atmosphere, easier controls, and excellent story mode put it over the top for me. Specifically the story campaign. It puts 2K's My Career or Madden's Long Shot or Face the franchise to sleep. I've seriously never played a sports game with such a gripping, serious, and non-corny story mode. It's been over 12 years since Fight Night Champion released, but thanks to backwards compatibility, you can still play this game on a modern Xbox console such as the Series X, and you'll want to. This was the only EA sports game to ever get an M for Mature rating, meant for players over the age of 18, and it covers some serious topics. It even drops some F-bombs, which was a surprising sight in something made by EA Sports. The story follows a boxer who has to overcome a prison sentence and corruption within the sport itself to make his way to the top. Surround that with excellent gameplay and presentation, and you have one of the greatest sports games ever made. There's no game like it, and I can now confidently call Fight Night Champion the greatest boxing video game of all time. Let's take a deeper look. In July of 2010, EA revealed their next Fight Night title. Instead of the anticipated Round 5 title, they went with Champion, and announced it with a brand new single-player campaign and a roster consisting of 60 to 65 boxers. In an interview with IGN, developer EA Canada said, "Fight Night Champion will break the mold of what is expected in a single-player sports game. Players will be introduced to an entirely new way to step between the ropes and experience the drama, emotion, excitement, and tragedy of World Championship boxing. It's something people won't expect from an EA Sports game." Let's take a step back for a second. Is that not refreshing to hear in 2024? Innovation in a sports game? An attempt to create something unexpected? I feel like the last decade of sports gaming has entirely consisted of only the expected. It goes to show just how special the team behind the Fight Night games was. During this previously mentioned reveal, EA also announced that Champion would feature the most realistic punching system ever seen, while also being the most user-friendly title in the series. These were some bold claims, a story mode unlike anything seen before in an EA Sports game, more realistic controls that are simultaneously more user-friendly, all while adding more boxers and making a fully fledged sequel to the beloved Round 4? If we heard those promises in a new game today, we'd probably assume it was a classic case of a developer overhyping their game for marketing, only to release a buggy mess before it's ready. But no, Fight Night Champion genuinely succeeded at accomplishing all of that, and in a polished state as well. This is one of the greatest sports games ever made, and also one of the most ambitious. Usually that combo doesn't work out, making this game a rare case. The story mode in Fight Night Champion is definitely the highlight and the best part of the game in my opinion. I think everybody should play through this mode. And then as a sports community, we should have a better idea of where our expectations should be for a story mode in a sports game. Nothing came close to it at the time, and nothing has come close since. To become a world championship boxer, you have to make sacrifices. You have to make tough decisions. It's not a smooth ride, and all that is an understatement. You take over a boxer named Andre Bishop and play through a 5-hour interactive campaign. It's not that long, but it lacks any unnecessary filler. It's genuinely great entertainment. You go to prison and get attacked. You experience a rise and a fall. It gets emotional. Winning isn't good enough when trying to make it big. You have to make a splash. You have to sell your soul. The human drama of the sport is on full display, and I don't want to spoil too much, but it will take a non-boxing fan and turn them into a boxing fan. Sports video games are a great medium to get new people excited about a sport, and I don't think there's a game that does that better than Fight Night Champion. It's meant for adults as well. It's not a watered-down promotional campaign like 2K's My Career. Bishop's life gets real dark and serious. F-bombs are commonly dropped. The cutscenes are really well animated and the voice acting is surprisingly good. The commentary and presentation matches what's happening in the story, creating an insanely immersive experience. You can feel the stakes and the gravity of each match, which is something very few sports games have accomplished. Of course, a story mode alone wouldn't make this the greatest boxing game ever. It's complemented with incredible gameplay and controls that not only make it fun, but also realistic. Fight Night Round 4 basically forced you to one control scheme, which, to be fair, was an improvement from previous games and is realistic, but you were forced to use the analog sticks. Champion gives players the choice of the same or a similar stick-based control scheme, as well as using face buttons as an alternative. This helped make Champion a huge hit, as the new control scheme was much easier to jump into for newcomers. At first, you'll probably be spamming buttons and throwing a lot of really fast punches. It's fun to just jump in and start hitting people, of course, but it's much more complex than that, and the Champion mode is a great place to essentially get a really fun tutorial and learn all the intricacies within gameplay. Defense, countering, and stamina are huge factors you might not consider as much initially. Unlike in previous titles, the analog sticks are easier to use for these moves, as you no longer need to make precise rotations, but instead you just flick the stick in any direction. And while the controls are easy to learn, they are very hard to master, and a lot of it comes down to timing and instincts, which only improve by playing the game. The AI is incredible for a sports game, and each individual boxer genuinely feels and plays differently. For a sports game from 2011, this is insanely impressive. Even today in 2024, sports games fail to really make players feel that different between each other. In Madden, if you draft a guy with 99 speed and decent hands, but he's a 68 overall as a rookie, you can pretty easily put up Tyreek Hill numbers with him because he feels just like Tyreek Hill. If speed was all that mattered, John Ross would be one of the greats. NBA 2K does a better job with this, but even then, with how poor their AI can be, most players seem to blend together. Fight Night Champion makes every single fighter feel unique, and it's awesome. Muhammad Ali will match and counter your moves, while Mike Tyson will go crazy on the attack. They become more aggressive as the game goes on if they are losing, which again, is something you rarely see in modern day sports games, as the AI seems to have little urgency in important situations nowadays. Matches are unpredictable as well. You could be easily handling someone, go into autopilot mode and play a little bit less carefully, and then get knocked out and lose from just the right hit as the stadium gasps in shock. This incredible gameplay gets even better within Champion mode, such as when certain events occur, like busting your hand and injuring it, and then having to fight the rest of the match with a bit of a handicap, forcing you to try new moves and play more defensively. The mode shows you realistic scenarios of when and why to box in different ways, and again, I just can't praise it enough. This is how all sports games should be, especially if they want to charge you a minimum of $70. Legacy mode is similar to Round 4's. You create your own boxers, schedule fights, spend time training, resting, managing sponsorships, and you play through a career. It's pretty fun. Modern day sports games like to combine the career mode like this with the story mode like the Champion mode. but that usually sucks because your career is on a fixed point and none of your decisions matter. Champion gives you both. You get a genuinely great story mode where you get to roleplay as Andre Bishop, and you get a more open-ended, non-story driven career mode where you are in complete control. This is how it should be, in my opinion. The graphics and presentation in Champion are top-notch. The mature rating goes far beyond the story mode script. Blood is shown graphically and it's awesome. It sprays onto the mat, leaves residue on faces and hands, and even splatters in the air upon contact. Gloves and equipment are very detailed, and you'll even see skin ripple during slow motion replays of hits. And the animations work together in such a fluid and smooth manner, delivering realistic moving visuals that don't look awkward. The soundtrack was solid and had some nice songs and helped with the overall vibe of the game's presentation. Each boxer also has a unique entrance anthem which adds to the experience. If you're someone who's played a ton of Fight Night Champion, however, to the point where the game feels too easy, I'd highly recommend playing Fight Night Round 4, as it adds more difficulty. For the most hardcore players, Fight Night Round 4 is probably their favorite title, but for the best all-around boxing title, Champion takes the cake. The gameplay is nearly as good, and better for most thanks to revised controls, and the excellent story mode really brings it over the top. This is the definitive virtual boxing experience. EA stopped making Fight Night games after this. The reason is unknown. Some claim it was over cost issues with licensing boxers, others think the series just wasn't popular enough. In recent years, there have been attempts at creating a new boxing game inspired by the Fight Night series. Undisputed is a new boxing game that has mixed reviews so far, but it might be worth checking out if you're looking for something new to scratch that itch. It lacks depth, has no career mode as of now, but the gameplay is solid. The mechanics are very similar to Fight Night Champion, and it has potential, but it's still not there yet. The AI isn't close to as good as Champions, but this isn't a game with EA's budget. Still, the game aims to be a simulation-style title, and I think it's worth checking out. Boxing video games are awesome, especially great ones like Champion, and it's such a shame that EA stopped making new Fight Night games. I wish sports games today were still this good. EA Canada had a team working on this series that genuinely loved boxing. You can sense that passion from the main menu to the most intricate details within gameplay. People don't love this game because it's the last Fight Night game. They love it because it was genuinely a masterpiece. It's very rare that a sports game is this good. These days, EA or 2K releasing just mediocre sports games would be a step forward. There might never be another game like Fight Night Champion, because there might not be a need for one. Why try and make a great sports game when the bare minimum makes a ton of money? Why should EA worry about making a new boxing game when they make so much money from Madden and FC, formerly known as FIFA? Until the people at the top of these massive companies start taking pride in their products and put passion over pure profit, nothing will change. Fight Night Champion should be the standard. This is the best boxing game of all time. One of the greatest sports video games ever made, and an overall masterpiece we may never see again. If you haven't played it, now is the time. Thanks for watching.